All right, everybody.
Hello, hello.
You guys are probably just slowly trickling over from Jody's presentation. It was a great one with a ton of packed information and whatnot about just kind of the signs of the times and all that sort of stuff with, the moratorium on evictions and everything like that, and how, having a tiny home right now actually is a really good investment, and even protecting your contracts and all that sort of stuff that she was talking about. So if you missed that one, you definitely want to jump back and listen to that. So, but yeah, with that, we're going to be jumping into this session we got Brian Bishop here from Gold Heat, and we'll actually be talking a lot about a really great way to heat your tiny house, which is, radiant floor heat. It's much better, much more efficient and everything than standard HVAC or even just like a in-wall heater sort of thing. So,
absolutely. Yeah, we'll just give a quick intro on our experience with radiant heat flooring, and then Brian's going to take it away. And at the end, we'll also he'll be able to field some questions. We might pop back on to help field them, but he'll be able to answer all these questions at the end. You guys are already shooting off a bunch of them.
Look at that. And we'll be kind of on just conversing with Brian and whatnot kind of throughout the presentation. Cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, Zach and I, like you guys know, we've built over just about 100 tiny homes, and we've tried our hand at pretty much every heating type of source we can try. We've tried a bunch of different radiant heat flooring systems before, and we've always had trouble with them. And that's why we're so excited to find Gold Heat, because it really is kind of the key to that solution in the tiny house industry of heating a house, heating a tiny house the right way with a custom floor plan, and just being super efficient. So we're super excited to hear what you have to say, Brian, and just being able to answer questions and educate the community on a proper heating system for the tiny homes.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, there's always a zillion ways to heat a place, right? Since the caveman invented fire, right? It's been like, how am I going to heat where I live? And Gold Heat's coming at radiant floor heat not from residential construction. We're coming at this from the RV business. We were founded in 2002 for RVs, and tiny homes are cousin, if not brother, to the tiny homes and RVs. They're really close. And RVIA, the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association, has a lot of governing documents for tiny homes. So it was a natural fit for us to move in. And what's awesome about radiant heat is you're not using air as the working fluid. You're not heating the air in hopes that it'll heat you. You're getting that you have your own private heat lamp in the floor. If you ever go to a restaurant and they have food under the heat lamp, you don't feel the hot air between the food and the heat lamp. That energy goes straight from the lamp onto that food, and that's exactly what happens here in the radiant floor heat world. And why that's important is that it starts at the floor, and that we all know hot air rises, and hot air is still going to rise. We're starting at the floor. So you will get that radiant warmth, comfort, starting at the floor, starting at your ankles. I don't know about you. The thing that gets cold with me first is my ankles. I cannot wear it.
I love it.
I can't. So it's just a perception. So you can run your home a couple, 3-5 degrees cooler and have the same comfort. There's energy savings right off the bat because you don't have to crank the heat as far. The other thing that's important about Gold Heat is that we got our start in the RV business, so we're used to designing the mats for each floor plan and drawing out the pattern of the wire. Everyone knows you have to have patterns in the wire. Back at our factory, it goes around the toilet. It goes around the corners of your pocket door. It goes around the corners of the couch you have bolted down or anything else in the RV. So we can do any pattern you want and put heat literally everywhere. I mean, we put heat down the sides of the toilet, if you believe that.
There you go.
We can.
Yeah.
So I don't care how weird your kitchen outline is to get the best use of space. I don't care how many corners you have. We can get floor heat into that corner and then provide heat everywhere your feet might touch, and it helps heat the rest of the place. Now, look, if you're in Minnesota this is still a supplemental heat system. You're still going to need something else because we're only 15 watts per square foot. There's a regulatory limit that we just can't cross. 15 watts per square foot in Florida is way different than 15 watts per square foot in Minnesota. It just is.
Yeah.
But for a lot of places where you would want to be, that will get you a long ways down the road. And the advantage for a manufacturer's perspective and from one who's trying to build something on site is that we designed the radiant floor heat mat to your floor plan, which means when you get the mat, you take it out, you snap it open like a tablecloth, and you staple it down on your subfloor and put your tile or LVP or LVT above it, and you're off the races. You take the cold lead, hook up your thermostat, and you are ready to rock and roll. So that's the 2 or 3 minute presentation overview on how things work the way that they do for us. And it's ready. And that's the important part. I don't know if Zach, you've had other experiences with radiant floor heat. You probably had to buy the little wire wrap, and it's like, okay, is this my 50 square foot spool of wire or my 40 square foot spool of wire?
Yeah.
We just built our showroom, and the electrical inspector came and did the final inspection. He says, oh yeah, I've seen people with radiant floor heat. They've had their 50 square foot spool of wire. They had too much wire at the end, so they just wrapped it back and forth really close together at the edge. And of course, that creates a massive hot spot, and that's not code. It's also not safe. It's not code because it's not safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We have 17 different wire sizes that we use in our mats, and we can do mats all the way from 3.5, 4 square feet, all the way up to 113.
Okay. Yes.
So that's just massive. And if you have more than 113 square feet to heat, then we put down 2 mats. You can have 2 zones, or we just put them in parallel.
There you go. Okay.
It's spectacularly simple. And then everyone wants to work on their tiny home, and they'll change a cabinet out, or they'll change something, and they'll accidentally put a staple or a screw through our radiant floor heat mat. We even have tools to detect where that fault is and say, dig here, X marks the spot to put in a splice. So not only is our stuff super reliable, but even if you break it, we have a way of fixing it without pulling up your entire floor, which no one wants to do.
Yeah. That's great. Cool. Yeah, I think what you said kind of at the start there is that you guys come at it from a RV point of view rather than a residential point of view. That's the reason we had so much problems with every single other type of radiant floor heating that we tried. We're trying to take, something that's for a house and, on the grid and stable and sitting there and put it into a tiny home. It just never seemed to work out. And so that makes all the difference. You guys are coming at it from an RV point of view, and you guys started in 2002, is that right?
2002, yeah. Shipped first product in 2003.
Yeah, okay.
RV business. Selling to some customers are still around and some that sadly aren't.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that's cool to hear, and it shows that you guys are reliable in the industry, and it will show through and through. So,
well, it's so exciting too, because I'm speaking to you from my home office. I would rather speak to you from our showroom, but I've been traveling because work. Yeah. And now that once I've been traveling, I'm asked by everybody to stay home and self-quarantine. So I'm doing precisely that. We find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Even in the crazy year that is 2020, we haven't missed a shipment. When our customers place an order, they get it.
That's
and
cool.
It's because of the awesome team for service and support back in the Hillsboro, Oregon plant. Just makes all the difference in the world. Like so many companies, the company is really all about the people making it happen. And we've got a solid engineering team that can design to whatever you need. Whatever. I suppose if you give them enough time and money, they'll give you warp drive, but it'd be a lot of time and a lot of money. But they can make the radiant floor heat mats do exactly what we need them to do.
Yeah.
And if you have a challenge, you give them a ring, and they will take care of you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Cool.
So I've seen a zillion questions go by, more than I can possibly keep up with. So give me a hand here to pick some to answer.
Yeah, somebody asked if you can add it to laminate floor already built. the answer would be you'd have to get underneath that, right?
You want to pull up your laminate, but you only have to pull up the first layer. As a matter of fact, someone spoke in another article I was reading recently about thermal bridging to things that would pull the heat away. So you want to have some sort of thermal barrier underneath so that you're not losing heat out the bottom of your tiny home. You're directing it up into the home itself.
Yep.
That
Okay.
kind of a thing. Of course, it's cheaper if you do it at construction time, but it can be refitted at some point. Someone asked about just electric or hydronic, water-based. This is absolutely electric. Electric is thermodynamically just way more efficient. I mean, even the waste heat is useful heat. It's 15 watts per square feet of electricity in, and it's 15 watts a square feet up, unless it gets worked out the bottom of the coach. Hydronic is a lot heavier. If you already have a hot water system, it's cheap to put in, and it's cheap to put in.
Yeah.
It can't heat it just can't heat as quickly because water only transfers energy well when it changes from water to steam, or from steam back to water.
Okay.
Or breathing. It does not done a lot of energy as it moves a couple 3 degrees.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I like kind of what you're saying is I've felt that so many times when, if you're inside of a normal house with HVAC system and the hot air blasts on, and all of a sudden you start feeling warm and hot and everything like that, but then it shuts off, and moments later, the cold, all the objects around you are still cold, and it just makes the entire room cold again. Whereas this basically heats up all the objects from the bottom up, so that way they become hot and warm, and it just kind of naturally radiates throughout the house.
And when I say 15 watts per square feet, in a lot of environments, it's not on 100% of the time. It's only on half the time, 3/4 of the time. It depends. It depends on how cold it is outside and how much heat escapes your tiny home.
Yep. Okay.
But it does help bring everything up to temperature, and because it's heating from the bottom up, the perceived comfort. When people feel uncomfortable, it's because they feel the difference. Okay. And if that hot air is circulating and it's up around their head, but their feet are still cold, they feel colder.
Okay. Huh.
The psychological thing, but it's about comfort, and comfort is going to be subjective.
Yeah, it's true. I know my wife likes to be warm inside of our house, so she's constantly trying to crank up that heat.
Well, my wife and I are old enough. We say we're both children of the energy crisis in the early 70s, so we're just used to going grabbing a sweater because we do.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Yeah,
you don't have to. Let's see. Someone asked about gold heat available with propane. You're off grid. We run off of electricity. So if your propane drives 120 volts AC, you're good to go. Some people will ask if we operate off of 12 volts DC, and we do not. We only operate off of 120 or 240.
Okay. Cool. What type of thermostat do you guys have? Do you have your own custom one, or?
No, we thermostats are getting a thermostat certified is a big deal.
Okay.
What we recommend very strongly is people buy thermostats that have floor sensors. We can provide the floor sensors.
Okay.
So using a thermostat and the other convenient thing would be to get a thermostat that switches 120 volts. Most thermostats I did get at your home are 24 volt systems that switch that furnace that's off in your utility closet. So you do need to buy a little bit more of a special one. But we've got a number of thermostat companies that we've located. There's one that we like and it's in our showroom. There's actually a bunch that we like that work really, really well. It's a question of we found ones that are smart to hook up to the Wi-Fi and do all the modern cool kid things. But you do have to be able to switch 120 volts or have a remote unit for that. But most importantly, you do need to be able to take in a floor sensor.
Yeah.
The LVP, LVT manufacturers are really keen on that. They don't want the floor to be over a certain temperature. So having that floor sensor gets them to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so a couple of people asking, if it combines well with a wood burning stove or if it's good for like Alaska winters and that sort of thing. And kind of what I'm picking up is that if you're going to be in a really, really cold place, it would definitely still be a really nice feature to have because it's just going to feel warmer and everything inside of there.
Help a lot. Going to help a lot.
Yeah, help kind of just regulate the entire temperature, but it won't necessarily, it can't kick clear to that top.
The most important thing is it's heating from the bottom up. That's a big deal. Heating from the bottom up makes things just it's the psychological perception of the comfort is just massive.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Someone's asking about insulation requirements above and below the heating mat. We don't want to insulate a lot above the mat. We don't want to do more than about R1 equivalent above the mat. But underneath, you want to do whatever it can so that the heat is prevented from escaping through the floor.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a little bit of insulation, that will help regulate the temperature, so you won't feel big swings in the temperature between when the system's on and when the system's off. So that's a very, very helpful thing. Again, it's perceived comfort.
Yeah.
There are certain locales that have it's code that your temperature can't swing more than a few degrees.
Okay.
Because people set it for the top temperature, not the bottom temperature.
Yeah.
So having that R1 equivalent helps slow down the temperature change, which is really, really helpful.
Okay. And I see a question here. Do you have to have a professional electrician to install it?
Oh, we always recommend that.
Okay.
Always want to have. You are talking something that's running on 120 volts.
Yeah.
You are talking something that's. If you have a 100 square foot mat, that's 1,500 watts. That's the same as a pretty hefty hairdryer.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that yourself. You want to make sure that when you attach it down, that you don't put a staple through the wire, which obviously we're protected, so it will pop the ground fault interrupter circuit, which is required in most locales.
Okay.
But you don't want to break your mat right off the gate. So have a pro do it. You'll be speaking to it in the end.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Are there, let's see, any other questions? Lindsay asks, are you working with specific builders now, or can you talk with my builder to educate them?
Be delighted to talk with your builder.
Okay.
There's if you're in the Portland, Oregon area, we've got a team of a tile installer that can do both ceramic tile, if you're interested in that, or LVP, LPT, and we have an electrician that both did our showroom, and they absolutely know what they're doing, and we can teach more. We've taught people that assemble motorhomes, and motorhome folks, they're not electricians first; they do other things first, and they're really good at it. So if we can teach folks who aren't electricians how to make it work, we can teach your electrician and your how to make it work.
Okay.
How do you do it?
Yeah. Cool. And I would assume that your product would work inside of buses, like schoolies, or pretty much any alternative type. Is that right? Yeah, you always. It's important to remember that off grid is going to be tough for us. Yeah. Okay. Because of the power. How many people want to run a hairdryer in an off grid environment? That's kind of the way to think about our product. It is that for 100 square feet, which is about right for a tiny home floor area. Yeah. Maybe a little bit less. But if you start thinking in that term, in that light, then you say, oh, I can do this, or it's not quite right for me. Yep. Okay. I see. Someone asked about wood floors. It depends on the wood. We worked with a couple of different people. There are some woods that will work well, and some woods that will not. And that's not something I want to get into right now. But give us a ring, and we can talk through that. There are challenges with wood, and more importantly, the mounting of the wood. Someone asked about floating floors. It's a little bit tougher with a floating floor. We have another product that would work better called Black Gold. Okay. I see that some members of my team are on here answering questions, which is awesome. They're talking about. Cool. Someone was wondering about the EMF radiation, and one of our engineers answered that question, which is awesome. And
Our email out there is design@goldheat.com for technical support. And we do pre and post sale support. Same people.
Cool.
Same people.
Somebody asked, what's the life cycle of radiant floor heat, and how long does the mat typically last?
The mat will outlive your home.
Okay, that's good to know.
So, what limits the life of our Gold Heat product in RVs is that it's an RV and it's being driven, and it vibrates, and metal, wire, connection, vibrations, that's going to go. But if your tiny home is basically a park home, if you just put it somewhere and that's where it is, then it's just like a house, and it's if it's not moving. So California park homes might be exempt from this. If it's not moving, then it's going to start working. And occasionally something will break, but it's very rare.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Cool. Can you run it under Cork Flooring?
Haven't tried Cork Flooring. Would have to check into that. It would be something. It would be something a little bit interesting because Cork has it insulates. So you want to keep it down to less than R1.
Okay. Yeah.
So we would go. Give us a call, drop us an email, and we can push through that to see how your floor stack up would work.
Yeah.
And again, anytime you design a floor, my goodness, you've got a subfloor, you've got the actual, which I don't walk on, and everything in between. There's a lot of moving parts to a floor.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of variables there.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's see if there's.
Here's a very, very good one. Someone says, how does the heat affect electronics? Is it hot enough to damage things you're storing on the ground like a laptop? So the single thing that gets us into more trouble than anything else in radiant floor heat is a dog bed.
Okay.
Not making this up. A dog bed gets us. It's the single biggest thing that gets it.
Wow.
It causes it to overheat.
Okay.
So what we do with that is even putting it up on just a little platform. An inch of air underneath it.
Yep.
Makes a lot of problems go away. And most dogs don't care. Oh, great bed.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to put things right on the floor, just remember it is 15 watts per square feet. Now, I don't know about your laptop, but mine, if I run it full tilt, it can't sit on my lap. It will get warm. It's kind of built for that.
Yeah.
But it's something. It's just even an inch of gap is going to make all the difference in the world.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure that the dogs like it though.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Do you want heat mass in the room? You want your heat mass in the floor itself. That's what will work the best for you, is to have that heating up and cooling down as you turn on and off the heat. Because a lot of our customers say, "Yeah, I turn the heat on all the time. It gets too hot." Well, that's what thermostats are for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you put radiant heat in an existing foundation house? Well, it depends on your stack up, but if you pull off that top layer, you can probably do it. So most people, if they're doing a remodel and they want a new floor, also talk to us, because depends on your floor type. A lot of the LVP. So we've seen both LVT, LVP manufacturers. Some support it, some support and still warrant their floors on radiant heat, electric radiant heat, and some don't. So read the label.
Fine print.
Read the label, fine print.
Okay. Somebody was asking if it goes under the subfloor, but it goes above the subfloor.
Above the subfloor.
Right. Okay. You probably go subfloor, insulation, with a small layer of insulation, and then the radiant heat, and then the normal flooring, something along those lines. So,
and some people put some insulation above it just to help. I mean, thermal mass is not required, but if you're going to put it in there, that's where you would put it.
Okay.
I have a little window, Zach, that says my time is up in less than 5 minutes. So someone's asking about humidity. We don't do anything for humidity. We can't help you there. What we will do is drive moisture out of the nooks and crannies, if that's helpful to you. So if you're in an environment where you're worried about being too humid, then we can help. If you need more humidity, then there's other solutions that you can add to our solutions.
Cool. Yeah. All right. What about allergens? I bet there's no allergens in your product.
Zero. As a matter of fact, so unlike an HVAC system, we aren't blowing any air around, so there's no allergens getting blown around. There's nothing to kick up dust. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that are sensitive prefer radiant heat because all of those issues flat out go away.
Yeah. That's really nice. And you don't have to keep dusting everything all the time. So
That's right. Have you cleaned your furnace filter? My wife is very diligent in our house. We clean the furnace filter. Replace it every 3 months. And we're in Oregon, and we had those nasty fires.
Yeah.
We pulled that filter out and went, make it go away. Get a fresh one, please.
Yep. Yeah, and we even have a little fireplace in our house, and when our HVAC kicks on, it sucks air through that. Even if we close the flue, there's still small cracks that it kind of comes through, which brings that little bit of ash and everything back in the house, which is not fun. But and so we have zero air motion with this. Yeah, which is great. Cool. I guess we're coming down to the last couple of questions here. Somebody was asking if it works with rugs. Since it doesn't work with dog beds, does it still work with rugs?
If it's a thin rug, if it's a really thick shag, I would recommend against. If it's a fairly thin rug, again, it's going to be R1 or less is what we normally ask for.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's see if there's any more questions. Yeah, it looks like somebody will call about the cork floor and go for it.
Yeah, I've got at least 3 of the Gold Heat team answering questions as well.
Cool. Yeah.
And because they're not on camera, they can give a few more detailed questions than answers to the questions than I can. So I hit the high points and they're filling in the details, which is awesome.
Yeah.
One of our engineers said we had one installation under leather tile. So go figure.
It was under what type of tile?
Leather.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds about right. It's crazy. Yeah, they do a lot of crazy types of tile.
Yeah. Anyways, well, Zach, delighted to be invited to this presentation. It's a fantastic time. Love talking about our stuff. We have a passion for getting this right. It's just so much fun, and people. We hear all the time, it's like once you go to radiant floor heat, you do not go back. In the RV business, once a coach owner buys a coach with radiant floor heat, then they trade up every few years. Once they get it, they don't undo it in the future. They don't. They don't. It's like no.
Back.
I gotta have it.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you helping put this entire presentation on, and this entire event. Couldn't have done it without you. And it's been huge, and I know everybody in here is super thankful for this whole event. And like I said, couldn't have done it without you. So,
well, everyone helps everybody, right? And if in 2020 you're not somewhat flexible, you are in a world of hurt.
Yeah, that's for sure. 2020, you never know what'll happen in this year. We've only got month and a half left, so hopefully
only.
Yeah.
I wish someone could wave a magic wand on New Year's Eve and make 2020 be done, but I think we'll be doing it for a while. But we will find a way. We have a really creative, smart team that looks for a way to say yes.
Yep.
Well, we will help you out, and we would be delighted to talk to builders to help to get them trained, because a builder will hopefully do more than one, right?
Yeah. Good.
Well, I got a 10-second countdown, so I think Zach will let you close up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure, and everybody, we'll see you on the next event.